everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jenna Redfield and I teach about marketing, ADHD, and Notion. If you didn't see, we actually just started a new Facebook group called ADHD and Notion that I'm super excited about. We already have 150 people in there and I'm going to be sharing lots of tips in there, so make sure to join in the link below. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 14 different things that you should not buy with ADHD. Now, I've done 3 videos so far on products you should buy with ADHD, but I think one of the problems a lot of people with ADHD have is we tend to buy the wrong things sometimes too. So I wanted to go through some things that I've regretted buying that I think are ADHD related and that you may have as well. Some of these might be kind of obvious, but I think some of them might be like, oh yeah, maybe that's something that I should think about. So let's just get started. Make sure to follow below and subscribe for more videos. Before I get to the top 14, I wanted to mention something that I've been seeing a lot in ADHD, like Facebook groups and stuff, and that's the difference between aesthetic and functional. I think a lot of people with ADHD tend to go for cute things that are, I see this a lot with Notion. People just want cute Notion templates, but I'm like, but is it functional? Is it going to help you? If it's just something nice to look at, what's the point? So I think some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, just start to think in mind, am I buying this just because it's cute or am I buying it because it's functional? Because really, with ADHD, we really got to focus on the functional side. It can be cute. Don't buy like an ugly thing, but that shouldn't be the main reason you buy it, right? Okay, so let's start with number 1. This is kind of leading into that. Planners. I tend to see a lot of people with ADHD buy planners because they're motivated to use them. Maybe it's beginning of January. They're like, I'm going to have a planner for the year. And by halfway through January, they don't use it anymore. I have literally so many planners and notebooks and cute things that I have gotten to try to organize myself, and it never works. Now, there's a couple of caveats with this. Number 1, the one I think you could get is a bullet journal. The reason why is because it's blank. If you buy a planner that has dates in it and you don't use it, that planner is going to be out of date so fast. But with a bullet journal, at least it's empty so you can actually use it in the future. I actually have a bullet journal. I'm trying to figure out how to use it again, but I am really more of a digital planner. And that's something that I really like to go with. And that's why I love Notion is I don't have to pay any money. I'm not wasting money buying planners. If you love planners and you're a planner and you actually follow through on your planner, that's fine. I'm talking about people that buy planners with the initial thought to use them and then never do. Don't do that. Just figure something else out that works and maybe not have one that has dates in it. Also, don't buy things just because they're cute. I've done that a million times, as you can see in my office. Okay, so this kind of leads into the next one, which is don't start a business that needs a ton of inventory. You can start a business. I'm totally for starting a business, but those with ADHD, we tend to change our minds about our businesses a lot. And one of the things I realized way too late was I started a business where I had to buy a bunch of things. I was a stock photographer and I bought a bunch of, again, like cutesy little things. And for the last month, I have been going through and getting rid of a ton of them. Now, I wish that I had known that I should start a business where I don't need a lot of things to actually run a business. That's why I'm going to be selling Notion templates. I don't have to buy anything. It's something that I don't have to, if I change my mind, I'm not like out a ton of money because I bought a bunch of stuff. This is true if you're selling like shirts or something, you buy a ton of inventory and then you're like, well, I don't really want to do this anymore. And now you're stuck with all the inventory. So if you're starting a business, make sure it's a business where if you're sticking with it, you don't have to buy a lot of inventory, at least up front. And if you stick with it more than a couple years, then maybe buy inventory. That's just my tip. Okay, number 3. Books that you don't end up reading. I have so many books that I've bought with the pursuit of wanting to read them, but then never do. However, I have been reading a lot lately, so I am actually getting through some of the books now. But if you're the kind of person who will buy books, I have at least 10 to 15 books in my house that I have never read. So I'd say like the next time you think about reading a book or buying a book, read one first and then buy, because I think that otherwise you're going to end up with a bunch of books you've never read. That's just me. Okay, the next one is non-smart objects if there's an ability to buy a smart object. I recently made a video last week on smart objects and that you should always go for those if you can. So if there's an option between an object that's smart and not smart, which means it works with your phone, it works to be able to be tracked, always go with the smart one. So if there's 2 options, maybe it's a little bit more expensive. I would always go with the smart one. It's going to be helpful in the long run. And I just think that you should always go with the smart one versus the non-smart one. Okay, so the next one is accessories that you'll forget about. I buy a lot of like jewelry and scarves and things that I just forget about unless I photograph them and put them in Notion, which I have. But even then, I'm like, oh, I forgot I had that. So if it's not able to be seen very easily, maybe think about not buying it, especially if it's not something you think you're gonna wear a lot. Okay, so this is a big one, and I have talked about this in my other videos. I have stopped buying not clear organizers. I have so many big, either black or white boxes that are completely not see-through that I've purchased over the years that honestly, I never know what's in them. I never know what's in them, and then it leads to a ton of clutter. So always, always, always buy clear organizing things because you need to be able to see what's in them. Otherwise, trust me, you will forget what's in them. Adding labels. I'm a huge proponent of labeling. You could even add a QR code that you can hold your phone up to and say, oh, it's in this box. Oh, look, it's a Notion board with all of my, things in there. Just knowing and seeing what you own is really important. Otherwise, you're either going to buy it again or you're going to be like, where did I put that thing? It's in a clear box now. All right, this is a really big one, and it's actually something I had a lot of issues with the camera that I'm recording on. On top of the camera, I'm actually not using it right now. I'm using my separate microphone, but I have a microphone that had a battery that was like one of those big square batteries, like a rectangle one. And what's weird about it was I would always forget to turn off the microphone because it's like a separate thing. And so my battery would always die and I'd have to keep replacing it until I decided to go on Amazon and just buy a replaceable battery that's chargeable because of this specific gadget that I have. I've kept forgetting to turn off. So if you can, rechargeable batteries are going to save you a ton of money if you forget to turn things off. So there are a ton of ways. I actually also have a thing that like tells you if a battery is charged or not, or if it's dead. There's a lot of different cool things, but batteries can be really expensive. So make sure to buy rechargeable ones if you can. You might lose them, but I would recommend it because that way you're probably saving money in the long run on batteries. Okay, this is one that kind of became like a quarantine COVID thing is buy comfortable clothes. I have bought the same pair of pants. I bought it 5 times over COVID because they're so comfortable and they're the ones I always go to. I'm actually wearing them right now. And they're really cheap. They're like $12 on Amazon and they're super comfortable, super durable. And I swear that all of the other pants that I've ever worn, I just never gravitate towards those. So I never wear them. They're uncomfortable. I barely wear jeans anymore. And so for me, now when I go shopping, I really think about comfort. I mean, style's important too, but like, I love this sweater. It's super comfortable, but it's also cute. So, thinking about comfort, because I think those of us with ADHD, we're sensitive to maybe the clothing that we wear, and we just want to be able to feel good in them. So that's one thing to think about too. Okay, so this one might be a little TMI, just FYI, but I'll just give an example. If you don't do your laundry a lot, or if you don't clean a lot, don't buy things that need to be cleaned immediately. For example, period underwear. Let's just say I threw them out. The second one is things that you need to dry clean. Like I never want to go dry clean and then they sit in my hamper. So if you have to get a bunch of things that are dry clean, maybe think about getting something that isn't dry clean and that you can actually use. Also, try to figure out, like laundry to me is like the worst. It's the worst thing ever. And I wish I had a better system and it's something I'm working on. Okay, so the next thing is kind of more of a feeling thing, but thinking about silicone versus wood versus other types of materials. I always say go with silicone or plastic, even though, there's a lot of people that are like, don't go with plastic. I like silicone because I can actually reuse it. It's easy to, it won't break. So making sure, I literally just sold you guys a bookshelf yesterday and the whole thing was like glass. And I was like, I'm just terrified I'm going to break it. So I need things that are durable, things that are not going to break because again, I'm kind of clumsy and I want to make sure that I have all of the things that I need. And so really think about the materials that you're buying when it comes to ADHD and the products that you're using. I just got some silicone straws, which are great for my smoothies. They're easy to clean. I had some metal ones. I didn't like those very much. So silicone straws are great. Okay, this is a big one and a reason why I've purchased certain things. Things that you can easily lose that are expensive. This is the reason I don't buy expensive things like AirPods or sunglasses. I break sunglasses all the time. I would rather spend $5 on a pair of sunglasses than $150 or $200 on a pair of sunglasses. Even if it's a little better, I'm still gonna either lose it or break it. AirPods, I bought a cheap version at Five Below and they work fine. I can't like find them, but I know where they are. Like in my head, I know where they are. So buying things that can easily get lost or are easily broken that are expensive, I would go with the cheap versions. You can obviously invest in bigger things that are more expensive, but when it's the little things that you carry with you, try to go as cheap as possible. Okay, this is kind of one that I have had the situation happen. So you know those like brick chargers that you can use with your phone? I bought one that actually has a thing that plugs into my phone because I would have it, but then I wouldn't have something to charge it with. So making sure that, and then also having to charge the bricks. So like trying to find things that are helpful for you. I found one that has an actual connector to my phone. So finding things that if you forget the one part, it won't work. Same with like MacBook chargers, like making sure that you have those and know exactly where they are. Chargers are a whole thing. Okay, so number 13 is expensive perishables or things that go bad quickly. I've been in kind of a mood of trying to buy food and things that are good, and I sometimes buy more expensive things, and sometimes if I don't like it, it'll go bad because I don't use it. I forget it's in the fridge. So one of the things I've really started using lately are the Greek yogurt that are from Chobani, and they're like the Chobani flips. I love these yogurts, you guys. I used to buy like a big thing of Greek yogurt and then I'd forget it was there. These are individually like snack sized Greek yogurts, and they have like things that you can pour into them. So whether that's Oreos or they have pina colada, they have all these different ones, that s'mores, they have a ton of different flavors. And guys, these have like changed my life. Like I use them almost every day. They're about $1 each, but I don't have a bunch of Greek yogurt that goes to waste, right? So for me, if it's a little bit more expensive, but I'm not going to let it go and get bad, to me, that's worth it. Also, frozen foods are great. Put them in the freezer. Yeah, you might forget about them a little bit, but eventually you'll rediscover them. So I think perishables just in general, be careful about what you buy. Unless you use it all the time, I might double think about buying something expensive that can go bad really quickly. All right, the last tip, this is such an important one. We tend to be impulse shoppers when we have ADHD. So there's two things that I do. If I'm shopping in person and I'm like, ooh, I really want this, what I'll do is I'll walk around the store with it for like 10, 20 minutes. If I still want it by the time that I'm at the checkout, I'm gonna buy it. If I don't, I put it back on the rack. Same thing with Amazon or something I see online. I usually don't buy it right away. I put it in my cart and then wait a couple of hours, maybe even a day. If I still really want it, I will buy it. But for me, a lot of the times, 50% of the time, I don't. So I would say don't be an impulse shopper, especially online. Really think about it, put it in your cart, walk away, come back, see if it sells something that you want. I find that the ones I really do want, I eventually will buy. And they've been on my head, in my mind for a long time. But there have been things that I've impulse purchased and really regretted. So really, and also do your research. I know Amazon like reviews are a thing, but make sure that you really do your research before you buy something. All right, those are my top 14 different things that you should not buy with ADHD. I am going to be doing some videos on goal setting and planning with ADHD using Notion. So comment below if you have anything in particular you want me to talk about. I'm really excited. I also have some new things coming for ADHD, including my one-on-one services and templates coming soon. Super excited. Hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.